First, they have also, the government, greenlit $83 million in funding towards a new medical school at Waikato University, the country's third such facility. It comes amid, of course, a very intense cost of living crisis for Kiwis. Just before we came on air, I spoke to the Finance Minister, Nicola Willis. Minister, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be on the show.
Good to have you here. Now, let's talk about this Waikato University school, med school. David Seymour is saying, because obviously Cabinet signed off on this, David Seymour is saying that he saved us $200 million. Do we need to thank David Seymour this morning?
Well, I think we have to thank the National Party for campaigning on a third medical school in the Waikato, which Cabinet has agreed to deliver. And we're delivering it with good value for money. The total cost has been brought down to $230 million, and Waikato University have committed to stump up $150 million of that, which means that the taxpayer is on the hook for $80 and the taxpayer going forward will be funding more doctors to be trained in New Zealand. Good news all round.
So, yeah, good news. But in terms of our investment, why are we now paying 80 where we were meant to be paying 280? Is that David Seymour or is that you? Because you're both now claiming credit for the same thing.
I'd actually give credit to Simeon Brown, who went away and looked at the proposal that was on the table for the med school, said to his officials, let's work on how we can bring that cost down. Let's really check it, which has happened, and that has brought the overall cost of the project down, and then worked with Waikato University to say, what contribution are you going to make to this? And that amount of funding is 150, and that means that the taxpayer is getting a good deal.
Getting $80 million is what we're paying for the taxpayer into this. I want you to have a listen to Neil Quigley. This is from 3 News last night. He made this point when asked about whether the university has money on its books, whether it could fund itself. Have a look.
The university has the financial scope to actually fund the medical school if it needs to. We're in very good financial shape at the moment. We have a substantial unused ability to borrow, and so we think that it's a straightforward proposition.
Basically, they're loaded. They've got a line of credit longer than my arm. Why are we chipping in anything?
Because we want to see this school up and running to allow more students to be trained as doctors around the country using their postgraduate model.
Would it not be up and running without our investment? Is that what you're saying? They wouldn't have done this without us putting in a minimum of $80 million?
Yes, that's my understanding, that was necessary to get it across the line in terms of their business case to their university council to make sure that the numbers worked.
Family boost. This morning we've learnt that just 153 families are getting the maximum $75 weekly childcare tax credit. Has this been a disaster for you?
No, because 60,000 families, Ryan, have benefited from that policy with good, hard, cold cash going into their bank accounts. And we've delivered it on exactly the eligibility criteria we campaigned on. We never said that everyone would be spending $300 a week on childcare and therefore everyone would get the maximum payment. It was always dependent on how many fees you were paying and what your family income is. We delivered it on the terms we campaigned on. And then we've gone a step further. We've been more generous. We've upped the rebate from 25% of your fees to 40% of your fees. And we've expanded the group of families who are eligible for it. So we expect many thousands more will take it up in the coming months. The real scandal is Labor committing that they would rob every single one of those families of that cash payment.
Yeah,
they oppose,
Minister,
despite saying they care about the cost of living.
I hear what you're saying, but do you accept that had you run a system that wasn't so complicated and time-consuming for people, they would have taken you up on your offer? It's not like people don't need money.
Well, no, because what our officials told us was that if we had tried to get the system up and running in the way that we had hoped, then we would have had a 2-year delay. So that would have been 2 years of families waiting for us to deliver on our campaign commitment without any cash in their bank accounts. The trade-off we made was better to get some cash out now than make people wait.
What would you score yourself? What would you rate yourself out of 10 on cost of living, providing cost of living relief for Kiwis?
Work in progress. We've made some good progress. I think about the freezing of petrol taxes, the fact that mortgage payments have gone down, the fact that in many parts of the country rents are decreasing, the fact that we're progressing work on rates caps. Those things are positive, but there's always more work to do. And, the thing I'm really focused on, we also have to grow people's incomes. And that's why we are growing the economy and taking additional steps to ensure this can be a better place to do business, hire people, pay them good wages.
What I'm focused on is Westpac, who said in their latest update that Kiwis' disposable incomes have increased 0.9% over the past year on average, less than 1%. Is that good progress?
Well, I'd like to see that number higher, but let's remember that is progress compared to where we've been. So under Labor, real incomes were going backwards. So not only were prices rising faster than wages for a continuous period of time, but we also saw in per capita, per person terms, that the economy was getting smaller. And so we have turned that around, but this is why I'm so focused on growing the economy, why each of our ministers are, because that's what leads to wages rising faster than inflation.
Minister, appreciate you coming on the show this morning. When's your meeting with Miles Hurrell about butter? Is that coming up?
That's later tonight. It won't just be about butter. I catch up with Fonterra pretty regularly. Obviously, they're a very important exporter in our economy. Hearing their views on the world economy matters to me. And I've also noted that I will be asking about their retail pricing model, how they're seeing the supermarkets' margins, how they're seeing their own margins, understanding what's getting through to the consumer and whether there's anything we can do there.